real estate industry is shifting fast, and most agents have no idea what's coming. My prediction, 50% of the agents licensed today will be out of the business by the end of the year. In this video, I'm gonna break down exactly why that's the case and what you need to do immediately if you wanna be one of the exceptions. Okay, so let's break this down. Most agents aren't going to survive till 2026 or beyond, and there's a number of different reasons for this, and I think this needs to be a massive wake-up call. A lot of agents continue to be oblivious, and they just think that agents are necessary forever. They can just keep doing what they're doing. They're always going to be relevant. They're always going to get paid the same. The people that believe that are in for a massive rude awakening, and I'm going to break down exactly why that's the case. So let's get straight into it. Most buyer's agents are becoming completely obsolete. Now, buyer's agents aren't dead. And there was a lot of talk last year in 2024 about, the NAR commission lawsuit. And while that did not remove the buyer's agent, what it did is it massively exposed the ones who brought no real value, which, by the way, was the majority of agents. If you look at the stats, so there was a stat in 2024 that said 71% of agents did not close one deal in 2024. The craziest part is still to this date, 70%, we are halfway through 2025, have still not. That's not a pretty picture. And this really, you probably heard the quote, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming with their pants down. Well, that's very much what's happening here, is transparency is becoming increasingly important. And now the buyer's agents have to actually justify the value that they bring. The majority of agents didn't understand how to communicate their value proposition or didn't have one at all. And so what it did is it exposed so many agents as to really how obsolete they actually were. But the best part is if you could clearly communicate it and you did have a value proposition, which anybody can create if you take the time to do it, they just took massive amounts of market share. So it was actually a really good thing for the agents who were prepared. So you can see moving forward, buyers will question why they should work with and what you bring to the table. So if you don't have a unique value proposition or a UVP, you're going to be in hot water. And about 50% of the agents are not even thinking about this. They're just floating through their business. They're hoping to God that clients just see the value in them because they're so good at working with people. That's not going to be a saving grace, right? Hope is not a strategy. You have to treat this like a business. So if you can't articulate or demonstrate your value beyond opening doors, then you are not going to survive. So my recommendation here is a couple different things if you want to thrive. First is going to be making sure you've got clarity on your unique value proposition. Second is going to make sure that you are honing in on a niche, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. And third is going to be you need to become a master at communication. So communication is the number one skill any real estate agent needs in order to thrive. There is verbal, there is non-verbal, and there is written. So I'm going to break this down in more detail coming here in a couple minutes here, but written is going to be where we tap into AI. Verbal and non-verbal, this is going to be video, and it's going to be talking in person. Like this is going to be like appointments, right? Your ability to communicate your knowledge, your skill set, your value, your expertise. If you are not focusing heavily on your communication skills, you are going to be in deep trouble. So my recommendation, get better at video so that you can communicate your value, your knowledge, your expertise. And then let's start talking about the written side with the AI revolution, which is very real. Now, I'm gonna really open your eyes here because most people are turning a blind eye to the biggest opportunity you will ever have in your real estate career forever. Let me explain. So you have a person here, and this person is you, right? So this is you. And 2024 and previously, you had a brain, right? You had your little brain up here. And whenever you were looking at creating content, whenever you're looking at scripts, follow-up, drip campaigns, whenever you had to solve any problems, whenever you had to learn a CRM, you had to go search your little brain. You'd search your brain up here, and based on what you know, and what you know is based on your experience, is based on your coaching, based on if you have bought programs before, if you have a coach, any of that. And you would have to search your brain and then make a decision. So let's say, again, you were looking at creating content. Well, if you wanted to create videos, you would first search your brain, see what do I know about videos, and then you would go execute. But the problem is that is limited to your knowledge. And the problem is you only know what you've learned through experience and what you've been taught through coaching, which is extremely limited in the grand scheme of what you could know if you knew everything, right? But you probably don't have, last year, for example, I spent $311,000 on coaching. You might not have that money. You might not have any money to invest in, but you used to have to pay big amounts to get in the rooms with the right people to learn stuff that fell outside of your brain. Well, this is where the radical shift is happening. And what I really want you to understand. Now, you have you over here, right? And you've got your little brain. Well, now you have to solve a problem like videos or drip campaigns for your CRM to convert and nurture leads, or scripts, or follow-ups, or the right Facebook ads to run, or literally anything that you need to do to scale. Instead of going and paying thousands of dollars for a coach, you now can search not just your brain, you can search the entire database of some of the smartest people on the planet that you used to have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for in order to get proximity to. And here's the craziest part. It is free, or maybe $20 per month. And what I'm referring to here is leveraging things like Chat GPT, Gemini, or my favorite for research is Manus, which literally will search trillions of data points in order to give you solutions that you never would have thought of before. So now you are no longer limited to your experience and the coaching that you've had. You don't have to think based on your own experience. You can think based on the experience of the greatest people on the planet that you now have access to their information if you are leveraging AI. So where am I going with this? Agents who turn a blind eye to this are going to fall behind at an astronomical rate. If you don't realize that based on what I just showed you, you no longer have to search your experience to try and solve a problem. You can search the experience of the smartest people in that category in the world to design the highest converting drip campaign, to create the lead videos that are going to generate the most leads, to do anything you need immediately. Not spend a year of coaching, immediately at your fingertips. For those that don't understand that, you are going to be replaced. I will bet on that. People that are turning a blind eye to it are in deep trouble. But here's the craziest part, and many people aren't realizing this. While it can do everything, the craziest part about the whole AI revolution is that you do not have to be techie. This is the craziest part. You don't have to be techie. And that's why I wanted to share with you the importance of communication. Because when you start looking at AI, to be able to leverage the fullest capacity of tools, right? Like down here with ChatGPT, Manus, and Gamma, or Gemini rather. All that you need is incredible written communication skills. And written communication skills is just based on your knowledge, mapping out exactly what outcome you're looking for. So instead of saying, I need help with a drip campaign as a realtor, you say, I'm a realtor in this market. I am running these exact ads. My goal is to convert Facebook leads into booked appointments. And I need you to create the highest converting drip campaign specifically tailored toward generating real estate leads. Be hyper specific about the outcome you're looking for, and you will be shocked. And that's the craziest part, is there is no tech learning curve like there is with social media and video editing and graphic design. All that this boils down to is written communication. That's it. If you nail this, you are going to separate yourself from every other agent in your market real quick. And again, for the agents that are turning a blind eye, thinking this is a fad or that it's just something that you can use to help with some video scripting, you were missing out on a major opportunity. And I hope that's not the case. So let's look at the next part, which is most agents are going to be obsolete within the next 12 months because of a lack of a personal brand. So most agents are invisible, no brand, no pipeline. And 2026 and moving forward, agents without a personal brand are going to be ignored. Gone are the days where brokerage equals trust. Because here's the thing, there's great agents at every brokerage, there's terrible agents at every brokerage, and consumers know that, right? If there was a brokerage where everybody just wanted to work with it because it's the best brokerage out there, everybody would be there. If there was a brokerage where it made you a top producer, everybody at the brokerage would be a top producer. It does not exist. So here's the craziest part, is that brokerages do not matter to clients, but they do matter for agents. Let me explain that. If you're at brokerage A over here, and based on its compensation structure, you make X dollars, but then you're at brokerage B over here, and based on the compensation, you make twice as much money based on having no split or no cap or whatever the situation is, and you have multiple income streams, and you have stock, and you have an exit strategy, and you have better training for free, the brokerage definitely does matter for agents. And I think a lot of agents are also turning a blind eye to that, which is why they're not making as much money as they could based on the time that they're putting in. If you want to know how to achieve option B over here, click the link in the description, book a call with me and my team, and we'll talk about building multiple income streams and eventually a 6-7 figure per year retirement plan, as well as getting all of my training for free and all of my masterminds for free and all of my coaching and all of my resources and all of my AI and social media training and everything else, because the brokerage does matter to the agents in terms of how you're compensated, but it does not matter to the client. People work with you because of you. So going back to personal branding, we can see here, buyers are going to Google you before they talk. Or after they met with you. So oftentimes they're either going to look at you before the appointment or after the appointment. And if there's nothing there, they're going to go to the person that does have something there. And that's why this, unfortunately, I wrote over it. But the best known agent, not always, right? Every time, but almost always the best known agent is going to win. Not the one with 20 years of experience and all of these accolades. It's the one that's the best known. There is a massive rise right now of the creator agent, which is the ability to, again, scale. That's the best part. If you understand this stuff, and if you want to know how to become a creator agent, click the links in the description. I have free 90-minute masterclasses showing you exactly how to become a recognized local personal brand in your market, leveraging Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube with no experience. Agents just like you are closing 6 figures a year, but you have to build a personal brand. Otherwise, you'll become obsolete. Going on to the next one. No real systems for lead generation. Don't get me wrong, door knocking and cold calling definitely still works, but they're not scalable alone. And this is where a lot of agents get burnt out, is they cold call and the door knock, but when they stop putting time into their business, barring they're not properly leveraging a CRM, their business doesn't grow. So that means you always have to continuously door knock and cold call over, and it's exhausting. It's not scalable and it's not fun. So if you don't have a repeatable system to generate leads daily, you're going to be in big trouble. So top agents run omnipresent strategies, meaning that they are active on social, they're leveraging SEO, they're using AI to nurture, they're using retargeting ads. And if you want to know how to do that, just subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got a ton of videos coming out on all of these topics in the coming weeks and showing you how to leverage artificial intelligence to automate the majority of it. So stay tuned for that. You're not going to want to miss it. So if your leads depend on how you feel today, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Let me break this down before going on to another really critical point. We have broke agents and we have successful agents. What is the difference between the two, right? What makes them not equal? Broke agents, fair weather. Broke agents rely on motivation. Broke agents, when you look at a graph of time and energy or output, their charts go something like this. They get really excited and then they crash, and they get a little excited and they crash, really excited, crash, and you look at the baseline and it's way down here. They work depending on how they feel. And that's why they're going to become obsolete. They don't have the capacity to beat people like top producers who work regardless of how they feel. That's one of the biggest differentiating factors between successful agents and broke agents, is successful agents do the work they know they need to do regardless of how they feel. So now their energies look a little bit more like this up here. And so when you look at this gap right here is the difference between broke agents and successful agents, which is why 87% fail. Because they are only working when they feel like it, as you can see here. If your leads depend on how you feel today, again, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And so my recommendation is build a business that is scalable, that has the fundamental components that every successful agent has, right? They are active on social, they have optimized content, they're leveraging modern tech, they're nurturing their clients to get repeat and referral, they're retargeting to stay top of mind. This is 5 things. This is not complex, this is not overwhelming. And the best part is, if you don't know how to do any of these, you do one simple thing. You ask Chat GPT. And I'm not trying to be rhetorical here. It's legitimate. If you don't know how to do anything, there's no excuse to need to wait for somebody else's answer, to wait for my answer, to wait for your broker's answer, to wait for your coach's answer. Ask ChatGPT and get immediate responses, because every time you're waiting hours for somebody to get back to you and you pass the buck, you're losing your business. So, and that goes to this point right here, which is incredible. 90% of agents don't track KPIs or key performance indicators, set a budget, or have weekly goals. They just wake up and they float throughout their business. They are casual. And this is a quote you can take to the bank with you. Casual agents or people will become casualties. Casual agents will become casualties, period. If you're treating this like a hobby and you're just floating out, you have to start acting like a CEO and treating this like an actual business. Can you imagine any successful business that doesn't set a budget, doesn't know their profit margins, doesn't know, if you look at McDonald's, for example, they would know their most popular menu items. They would know how many of them they sell. They would know the profit that they make on them. They would know the upsells that would make it increase the average order cart value. They would have a budget for marketing. Like any legitimate business, big, small, that's successful, all does these activities, right? But every struggling agent does not. This is another one. Show me your calendar. Anytime I see an agent that is struggling, I ask them to show me their calendar, and I will show them exactly why they're struggling. There is no accountability. It's just hope and hustle. And hustle is a very weak term because they're being very busy. They're not being very productive. So your calendar is a direct reflection of your income. And if I look at your calendar and I don't see lead generation, income producing activities every single day, you're going to become a casualty. So it's very simple, right? There's only a few activities that we need to do as agents, 3 actually. So let's look at this. We need to get clients. We need to service clients, which is going to be buyer's appointments, seller's appointments, showings, closings, negotiations, all of that. And we need to nurture clients. There are 3 things you need to do. And that's where it blows my mind when you look at the average person's calendar and you look at the activities that they do or don't have. The majority of broke agents have an empty calendar and they just wake up and they float through. They have a reactive business instead of a proactive. If you have a proactive business, you're going to be a top producer where you know every single day exactly what you're needing to do. And it's so simple because, again, it is these 3 activities. And guess what? To make it even more simple, if you don't have clients, guess what? You only have one activity, which is wake up every day and get clients. And there is passive and active prospecting. That's it. It's so simple, but you need to start treating it like a business and making sure that you're not just waking up and hoping. You should wake up every single day with immense clarity and know exactly what you need to do. But the biggest realization, hopefully, is this right here, the AI revolution. This is real. And anybody that's ignoring this is going to be in deep trouble. And hopefully you start to capitalize on it. And again, if you want to know how to leverage AI properly, just subscribe to my channel because I've got a ton of cool training tutorials coming up on this exact topic. So any questions, drop a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts and hear your take of where you think the future real estate agents is going and how much longer the obsolete ones that aren't following these strategies have left. Otherwise, if you want to know how to leverage social media to build that personal brand and how to convert leads, check out this next video because I break down it in its entirety for you step by step so you could start to build that personal brand, become omnipresent, and become the dominating agent in your market.